All right. Welcome back to the Greenhouse Podcast. I am here with Pastor Jeremy and Pastor Shannon Kanaday.
Hello.
And we're here to kind of unpack our Allegiance series that just wrapped up and preview some fun things that are on the horizon. But first off, yesterday was Memorial Day.
Yes, it was.
And any Kanaday holiday traditions? Was there any? I know the weather wasn't maybe the best, but anything fun?
Well, recently we moved into a different home, and so one of the things that didn't fully make it in the transport was my Weber charcoal grill. And so in my mind, our son was helping us move, so at that point I was just like, we got to get rid of everything. We got to make sure nothing's here when we move out. So I didn't really care for that as much as I could have, so I sent it with him. But he messaged us Sunday night and said Monday and said, "Is there any way that we could have hamburgers tonight?" So I think that's kind of become somewhat of a holiday tradition, Memorial Day, 4th of July, whatever. So anyway, he had to bring the grill back to our house, but that's what we did. We grilled hamburgers and hot dogs.
But you're forgetting a very important thing.
Oh, what?
I think the tradition is ice cream, homemade ice cream.
Yes.
That's like kind of a staple, but we did something risky yesterday. We normally always make peach ice cream.
I was going to say, I feel like peaches.
Peach.
It's not peach season, though. So.
Okay.
So we decided to do strawberry.
Okay.
And it was okay. It just wasn't as good. I've never done that before, so it needed to be a little bit more sweet.
We switched out two things. Instead of using condensed milk, we used heavy whipping cream.
Yeah, because that's what the recipe
That's
called
what the recipe called for.
And then 1 cup of sugar
instead of 2 cups.
Instead of 2.
I'm like, man, that peach ice cream can put you right into a diabetic coma, probably.
No, don't say that.
Sorry. It's just real sweet.
Right.
And the strawberry wasn't as sweet, but it was still good. We used cones this time. We put the ice cream in cones. It was a nice touch.
Yeah, it was good.
So.
But that's like what, I think nobody cares about what we really eat, and then they want dessert, except Josiah. He's kind of picky, so sweets for him.
So we had everybody over.
Yeah.
All our kids and grandkids, so
Yeah.
it was great. What about you? Did you do anything special?
My kids would say, and I would say it was special. We got In-N-Out Burger, so
okay.
that was a good time.
Okay.
Still never done that. We've never done that.
Still haven't.
No.
Franklin or Murfreesboro or
Franklin, yeah.
Okay.
It's only
not too bad.
25 minutes down the road, not too bad.
Not too bad of a wait.
Yeah, the comment section might not be happy that you haven't experienced In-N-Out yet, but there's still time.
There's time. I mean, they're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
Right. The hub has moved here.
Yeah. No, the headquarters are.
I'm just kind of waiting for it to slow down a little bit. So.
But, yeah. So we went. There was no wait at all. Walked right in, right around noon. So, I think the time is quickly approaching.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with that. It's be great.
Yeah, and then similar to you, we're right behind you in moving. So we're. Finishing up the packing process, so it was a lot of that, but it was good.
How's your peace level doing right now with the playoffs?
You know what? We're doing okay.
Okay,
we're doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sadly, Landon, in this area, a lot of people are not NBA basketball fans.
Oh, not at all.
So if Jeremy references that at all in his sermon, it's like crickets. So there will be no comments about.
Not at all. No.
About this, but
it's college football around here.
Yeah.
It is.
It's Titans.
Maybe the Titans.
The Titans. They might be on the way up.
Okay.
They just got the Super Bowl. Did you see that?
I saw that. That's
2030.
Gonna be cool.
It's going to be a week to avoid Nashville. But
it's going to be interesting to see how the playoffs shake out, though. And in these upcoming weeks.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how you're.
Yeah. Well,
how you going to be doing?
We'll see.
Get past the Spurs, and then you got the Knicks, man.
That would be fun. Be a good time.
It will be. Okay.
On to more important things, and for the kingdom.
For the kingdom.
For the kingdom. So Allegiance.
Yes.
Our series on First Thessalonians. We just wrapped up week 5.
Yep.
Yes, in chapter 5.
Yep.
And I guess what were your biggest takeaways from the series? Was if there was like one statement or one paragraph that like someone listening, like, this is the one thing I want you to take home from this, what would you say that would be?
I mean, I think probably my hope would be people's connection between like faith and allegiance, because sometimes I think faith is like mystical, which it is. I mean, I think on some levels, I think if you're going to be a follower of Jesus, you have to have a measure of mystic in you, where you use your imagination, contemplative prayer, meditation, all those type of things, so that you can connect with a God that you can't see. But sometimes I think faith for people is just like, not tangible, or it doesn't have a grounding, because it's all mental, or it's just kind of like. And so if people can connect that faith is really what they're giving their allegiances to, which is their devotion or their loyalty, and it really has both feet on the ground, and you can actually know, okay, I'm saved by grace through faith, which is the flushing out of that is my allegiance. How do I know I have faith in this chair? I'm sitting in it. And, how do I know I've placed my faith in Jesus Christ? Well, I can look at how I spend my money. I can look at how I parent my children. I can look at what I do with my time. I can look at how I invest my energy and my talents. Like, saving faith is rooted in our allegiances. And I think probably allegiance is the best maybe word that connects. Paul talked about faith. James talked about show me your faith and I'll show you my works. It's the marriage of those things, it's faith and deeds. And so I think that is summarized in allegiance. And so, that's probably what I would hope people could connect to. And then I think the simple phrase that I used so frequently was like attention, affection, allegiance. Where I'm directing my attention is eventually going to be what I love, and what I love is going to have my allegiance. It's why people like love their gyms, they love their restaurants, they love their sports teams. Those things aren't wrong, but like the allegiance of my life, I can trace the trail of that. I can reverse engineer it and say, oh, I love this, and this has my attention.
Yeah.
What you sat and like, I was just joking with Shannon because she has her book that we gave out to everybody. It's filled with notes, and she's like, "Well, I sat through it 3 times."
Yeah, 3 services every Sunday. I got doodles, and I really like this book that you passed out because I could color in it too. So.
And take notes, right?
Yeah, and take notes. By the 3rd service, I normally start drawing pictures, but I thought it was neat on Sunday. We had kids get up before each service and say a scripture, and the scripture was love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. I don't know if we did that on purpose, if it just worked out
that way.
It's just kind of neat, but to me, just thinking about allegiance, you referred to that a lot. Loving the Lord with all your mind, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And I think that probably we can all grow. It might be easier to love the Lord with all of our heart, but maybe not in our minds or not in our, strength. So I think just looking at that and growing. And then you said our allegiance shapes and forms our life. And so just reflecting on that, like, there might be some reality that our allegiance isn't just to the Lord. But one of the things I thought I think it's neat because a lot of times we think like we're what we're facing in our world is like the hardest times or the worst times or the most sinful times. And I think when you read, through books like this of the Bible, you realize, oh, there's really nothing new under the sun. Like sin has been around for a long time, and it just may look a little different, but really the root or, I don't know. So I think it's neat that we're not alone and that we're not facing things that God can't handle, and we can change and we can grow. And
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. I mean, it was pretty dark and crazy in Thessalonica, in Greece at that time, because people's God was themselves, and it's not a lot different. So maybe it's a little more domesticated.
Yeah,
or we're able to hide it.
We're
better,
able to hide
probably.
it. It's just not as in your face. It's just different.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you've had to preach on some hard things. I thought you did a great job, especially about sin or sexuality or all those things. Like,
Yeah.
and
I think probably even for me, like when we preached on First Thessalonians 4, again, Paul talks about our sanctification. He talks about holiness. And that's, if I was summarizing the tradition that I probably grew up in, it'd be that, Pentecostal is what I grew up in, which really came from Methodist. And that was basically, John and Charles Wesley. They're called Methodists because they believed they had a pretty strict method of how you were sanctified. It's like Wesley had like these 21 or 22 questions that he would ask in his holy societies of people. And they were like, that was his method. But from that, he had this, pretty crazy experience with the person of the Holy Spirit. And from that came this holiness tradition, which Pentecostalism came out of that. And, anything can become an abuse. And so, our tradition became known in a lot of ways for legalism. And don't do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And people associate God sometimes that way when Paul is saying, listen, the will of God for your life is that you be sanctified and that you walk in holiness. And that is just loving surrender to God's design. So, we have these God-given desires and needs and longings. And when we meet them outside of God's design or God's way, that becomes sin. But when we do it inside of God's way, it becomes delight, it becomes fulfillment. It doesn't break us, it makes us whole, which is what holiness does. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I had some people that have been in church for a long time just say, I've never heard it explained that way. And it was kind of a freeing moment even for me. Like, okay, God, what is holiness can be seen. Sure, there's things you shouldn't do and there's things that you should do. But you don't just want the law. The law doesn't give life, but the spirit of the law does. So when we do it again, God's way, and sometimes it's asking God, help me delight in your design, the way you've said to do it, because we can live in a way where we seek to meet our needs outside of that because of what the world has said, because of we're injured or we're hurt, so we react in a certain way. But holiness is the best way. And
you said holiness is a pursuit, not perfection. I think that's a good way to put it. Pursuing Jesus and not trying to live perfectly, but just pursuing him. And when we do that, things kind of start shaking out. Like, you don't want to sin.
That's right.
You want to live.
Yeah. And it becomes just like, continual moments of just surrender and obedience and surrender and obedience and surrender and obedience. Yeah. What about you? Like, you listen to a lot of the messages, like, put the question back on you, like, what's maybe a takeaway that you remember that stood out?
I feel like, one, it was a lot of harder, like, even topics that you had to communicate, and you did it very well. So, and yeah, getting to hear it 3 different times. And what's really cool with how you preach, like, it's never the exact same. So for those who come to the 8:30 service versus the 10 versus the 11:30, like, certain services just have a little bit more, I don't know, flavor, a little extra seasoning.
Yep.
He's a little bit more loose by the third.
By the third. That one.
It's just coming out plain.
That's where. Yeah, I'm doodling as well, but also, there's like, oh, that I didn't remember that one. But just how, like, the whole series kind of pointed to, like, answering the question of what do you believe. I thought it helped. There was a lot of core things that you brought good, even like language to, throughout. And I don't have my main notebook with me, but there's a lot of really good stuff. So yeah, there were five different messages that are all on YouTube in case you missed a week, we're traveling, anything like that, on our podcast platforms and on YouTube for anyone who missed it or wants to go back and check them out. They're there along with all of your sermon notes we attached to all of the descriptions.
Fantastic.
There.
What about there was 2 times in First Thessalonians where it says, this is the will of God for you. So you brought those up. I remember the second one because...
Yeah, chapter 4, this is the will of God, your sanctification.
Your sanctification.
And then last week, this is the will of God.
Rejoice
always, pray without ceasing, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God for you in Christ Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, in some ways, it's kind of freeing as a pastor because all the questions I get, it's how do I hear God, and then what's God's will for my life? Those are the 2 in any given order. And so it's like, most of the time people are asking that from a specific, like, should I marry this person? Should I take this job? What should I do? And, I think from those specifics, I would answer like Pastor Joby Martin does, pray, guess, and go, But as it relates to broadly, if you are making the diligent pursuit to allow God to sanctify your life, where you're lovingly surrendering to Him, you're fearing the Lord, you're choosing to live in His ways, and you are rejoicing always. I mean, always. You are praying without ceasing, and in everything you're giving thanks. I mean, geez.
You're going to be happy.
You got plenty. You got plenty to do, to be about, And you'll find yourself like a cat, always landing on your feet where you're supposed to be.
What about Jesus is coming back?
He's returning. Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon. I think, again, part of the way I grew up, we talked a lot about it. Preachers talked a lot about Jesus' return. They talked a lot about the rapture. And again, your view on end times, that's known as eschatology, and there's so many different streams and who's going to be right. Everybody can say they can prove it based upon the Bible. This is what it's going to be. What I do know is that Jesus said to be ready, and He said that that scripture in Hebrews 9, where He says He'll come again, and He'll not come to judge, to deal with sin, but He's returning for those who are eagerly waiting for Him, or those who are longing for His appearing. So that, being ready, not just from a stance of I'm keeping my nose clean, even if it takes both sleeves. I'm not living a sinful life. But more than that, I'm delighting in Him. I'm longing for His appearing.
Or we're not looking at it as just get me out of here because this world is awful.
Right. And we're not afraid. I don't have to be afraid. Jesus has dealt with fear. I'm righteous because I've received His righteousness. And so I can be ready for Him. And that is, He has this hope in Him, like purifies Himself or sanctifies Himself. It's one of the ways that we make sure that we live ready. We know He can return, and we long for His return. So, I mean, it's better than OKC winning back-to-back titles.
Absolutely.
Landon, when a few years ago, we had a young lady at our church come and she got saved. She came to a sisterhood and got invited and responded to the altar call. And I prayed with her and, led her to the Lord. And so her family ended up joining our church, and she just didn't grow up in church at all, had no, foundation. It was the coolest, I'll never forget this moment. And we do a membership. At that point, we were doing something called a membership meal. So we would have a meal with everybody that's joining. We do it a little bit different now. We meet with everybody, but it's not, we're sitting at a dinner table. So we were at Martin's Barbecue, sitting at a dinner table, and Jeremy mentioned when Christ returns. And so, she just got saved. She goes, "He's coming back." It was like the sweetest moment. And I think we take for granted, that we, as Christians growing up around church or whatever, maybe you've heard that, but people don't know. There's people that don't know, even though, she knew Jesus at that point, but she didn't realize the end of the story, that, he's returning. And so Jeremy had to explain it to her, awesome. But it was actually really refreshing and oh, this is really neat. She has no idea,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was just,
awesome.
We were just kind of shocked because, again, where we live.
He's coming back.
She was so excited. Yeah. So can we live that way? Yeah. I do think you're younger than us, but, it was talked about a lot. And it's kind of stopped being talked about. And I do think,
I think as the church at large, and then as leaders in the church, we have to return to those things. I think that's why even in the creeds, Apostles' Creed, Nicene Creed, it mentions the fathers of our faith knew this would be important, and they probably knew we would be prone to leave it or forget it or neglect it. And C.S. Lewis said, how can we really have a relationship with God if we dismiss or neglect his soon return? And so I think it's just the frame, because really his return is about a wedding. It's what it's going to be about, marriage supper of the Lamb. That's what it's going to be, a party, a celebration. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Before we go, wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of preview the next big series we're going to be jumping into.
It's awesome. Summer. We are taking the summer to dive into the book of Proverbs, and we're calling this series Project 31.
You got it.
Yes, 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. Obviously, we're not going to be able to cover them all, but throughout the summer, I'll be preaching. Some other people on our team will be preaching. One of our overseers will be preaching. So it's going to be great. People are going to be covering just different aspects in the book of Proverbs. And it's going to be a great series, learning how to live from the place of wisdom. Our culture does not need more knowledge. And, I even mentioned it Sunday, resolve to not let your knowledge outpace your obedience. But there's a difference between knowing stuff and then actually doing it. Wisdom is knowledge applied. And Proverbs says that all the paths of wisdom are peace. And I think part of the cure for anxiety in our culture, direction for our lives, it's found by walking with the wise. And part of that's journeying with the scriptures. It's living from the place of wisdom. Shannon's name means little wise one.
Yes, it does.
So I think it's going to be a great series. It's going to be real practical for people. And people are going to be traveling during the summer, but I would just say, don't miss a week. Tune in, join us online, follow back up with a podcast. We're making all these resources available. Landon's been such a gift to our church, and just even being able to do things like this and all the technical things that keep you connected So make sure you use those.
And maybe on a practical standpoint, you can read a chapter a day of Proverbs over the summer. And
That's right. Usually
Yep.
there's 30 or 31 days in a month. You
Yeah.
just take one.
Yeah.
Whatever the date is, just go to that proverb. That'd be an easy way to stay in the Word. So we're doing that. We're also going to be doing a special podcast series, right, Landon? Why don't you just, as
We
we're
are.
landing the plane, maybe talk just a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we're going to be, hopefully here in the month of June, going to get to sit down and talk with different business owners that are in our church, and kind of get to hear a little bit about their stories and how they're using their gifts and their wisdom
In the workplace, right?
In the workplace, wisdom in the workplace. So it's gonna be real exciting. So stay tuned for some more info there. But yeah, it's gonna be a great summer. We'll have summer nights coming up. Live Well kicks off this week. VBS is like a month away from right now. So it's going to be
good times.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Hopefully we get to see some Pastor John dancing. And
we will. That'll be a definite.
We will. Absolutely. So awesome. Any closing thoughts from either of you?
nope.
Yeah, I think, just in general, God's just continuing to do things in our church, and I think I don't want that to become like wah wah wah, like this background noise that we don't anticipate or appreciate.
Yeah.
In giving thanks in all things, just even some cool things that happen Sunday in the life of our church that, God knows those things, but those of you who are listening or connected to our church, just stay close, because I just don't want you to miss anything. And, the summer is going to be great. Again, we're going to have more clarity on the expansion of our building, which is really going to be amazing and a gift for what's on the horizon. And then for just one kind of last thing, in the month of October, we're going to be hosting this year for the first time a prophetic presbytery with Pastor Les, one of our overseers, and Pastor Wayne Drain. And it's just an opportunity for us to hear God's heart for people in our church. And it's just something you don't want to miss. That weekend is the Sisterhood Retreat on Friday and Saturday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then Sunday, and then Sunday morning and Sunday evening. It's just going to be a great time, a full weekend. But I'm just saying it now so that you rearrange plans if you need to. I think it'll be that significant in the life of our church. So anyway, the best days are ahead. That's all I got to say.
Come on. So good. Well, thank you, Pastor Jeremy and Pastor Shannon, for being here. We will be back next week. Thank you for watching.